about my life, regardless of the situations that come up, and how I've handled them and approach them. I think it's the wiser decision. And man, I just appreciate the opportunity and the ability, just to be able to speak and talk and be able to create an environment that is healthy and that at the end of the day, like, it's making a difference, and it's making me realize and recognize it could be just so, I don't want to say easy, but so intentional when one is willing to open up that door and let everything go. But also, I think it's in, very intentional and powerful because, man, it influenced the rest of my day, how I handled it, what I did, and I didn't have to, you know, keep wallowing on a feeling or a thought or an idea that really, you know,
Yeah.
it's,
Um, our effort can definitely propel us in the right direction when our mind seems to be not, And I was having some temptations myself today of just like things to do, things to, just not do basically. And I was like, well, I'll think about that. I hear you, inner voice. And then just kind of doing things that I knew mattered. And it was like, oh, well, I got to review this email. Oh, I got to look at this work. Oh, yeah, I got to go to the grocery store. Like I outworked the idea of the temptation. And I think we can do that, like surrounding ourselves with the right people and having those things around us that do matter, that, we can dive into those things while we release the challenge.
yeah. And it's funny that you say that because here as I was doing my walk, I was thinking, show me what matters, like just basically asking the question of what really matters. Show me what really matters in my life, in my personal, in my relationship. Show me who I need to be around with. Show me the things that need to happen. Like just asking that simple question just kind of gave me the space to be able to ask that question, uh, and see
Yeah.
myself capable of doing it too.
Yeah. And it's, one of the things in scripture that it says, it reminds of is according to his word, command him. Like it says, according to my word, command ye me, so that my words will not return void. And it's like, okay, I can be like, Lord, give me the clarity that I need right now. Like let me speak candid. It's not out of an act of like, you're not being reverent or respectful of God, but it's like, yeah, like, the thing that you promised, like, give me that peace, give me that clarity. This is for those times. And to know that we have access to just do that is, I don't even know if it's a game changer or if it's just like a relief. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah, I haven't
it's,
thought about it as a game changer, but I'm recognizing that it is a game changer. Not only is it something to release and let go of, but I think it also can be applied as a game changer to something that I'm capable of doing and that I had been capable of doing it for so long. Just never really saw myself doing it.
yeah, yeah. And it's so fantastic on this side of things. Sometimes like we walk up to the challenge, it's like, oh crap, it's like a 30-foot tall brick wall, and we're like, well, how am I going to get around this thing? And in those moments, it's like like Bob talked about that terror barrier, the reminder that you have a choice. You have a choice of what to focus on. You have a choice of what to do next. You have a choice about what it means. And the reminder that it's choices over circumstances all the time.
Choices.
The circumstances sometimes are not ideal, and sometimes it's not ideal for a while. But even in that, we do have a choice. We have choices to make. And, I remember when I was in the hospital and it's like, I had the choice to, be angry at things and not participate in life anymore, or go down to physical therapy. And I ended up singing the song from the first Top Gun movie to one of my physical therapists in the room, because it was like, it echoed, and I was like, nobody was in there. And then I was like, what, I'm going to just embrace this good idea, and just like sung that thing. And like, it lifted me up, it lifted them up. And it was just, it was one of those first sparks of goodness again.
Man, I can tell how and why.
Yeah, and it's like it's moments like that I carry with me because it reminds me that even when this does suck, I still have a choice about how I perform, about what I do, about especially what I say. And I think in those moments, like it's even more powerful than ever. And I tell people, if you can do it when it's hard, you can do it forever. The thing is, you just have to choose to do it when it's hard.
Man, and I think that changes the state of mind too to peace and ease, you know? Like
Yeah,
just being able to go through that and just changes the mind of like just peace through it all and like takes the pressure away from having to again figure it out, you know?
right. And it's the reminder that like I don't have to figure this out. I just have to choose what I'm going to do right now. And like the power of now, it's the perpetual now. All right, right now I'm going to choose to take a deep breath and not punch anybody in the face. Like right now I'm going to choose to keep my mouth shut. And it's like the reminder, like Tony Robbins told me a couple days ago, that urgency is a lie. Oftentimes, some things sometimes there are like, hey, let's get in the car and like take you to the hospital. You got a broken arm. Yeah, let's be a little bit urgent with what we're doing. But like urgent thinking about things is usually not the best thing to do because it keeps us, it takes our focus away from what we're doing and the importance of it on the scale of things. And we can get into like these urgent thoughts of like things that we have to figure out right now. But like most of the time we don't. We just have to do one thing.
Oh yeah, now I get it. Yeah, I understand because I've had a few of those, and yeah,
Hi, how's your drive?
It's going good. This was our first night back at the Shelter Rescue Center. So we had about 14 kids and about 4 adults, and it went really well. We had hot dogs, baked beans, potato salad, chips, brownies, granola bars, juice, lemonade. So it went really, really good. Really, really good. The kids were sweet. I had parachute and some balloons, and they really enjoyed that. I'm tired and ready for a nap, because the mind is still young. Well, sure, we can play the parachute for a half hour with the kids. Yeah.
Your body had another idea.
My arms are doing okay, but my legs, like, you do plan on sitting down sometime too, right?
Yeah, we get those reminders, right?
But it was good, and I know to leave the parachute in the car because they were like, "Oh, can we try this? And can we try this? We used to help on these at school." So, and that was the main thing, was for the kids to be comfortable and relaxed with us, and the parents as well.
Right. Yeah, and when people feel that their kids are good, then it's a relief for them too.
Yeah. So it was really good. We have a really good time. We had a young man, probably middle school, maybe 5th grader, so that asked for prayer because he had been cured of cancer, and he was on the list to wait for a prosthetic leg. So of course we added that to our prayer list for him and for his family. And his demeanor was just, you'd never know. If he didn't tell us, we'd never know. And he came to Julia on his own about that. Like, we were asking people if they wanted prayer for anything, and he asked, well, what's Christ going to do with this? He had a lot of great questions for a young man.
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I'll agree with that prayer that he gets exactly what he needs, and it's like we talk about. Victor said, a game changer.
Game changer.
And that serves as more tangible evidence of the presence of God.
And that's what we were talking about, is the right for such a time as this. For such a time as this, we were there and we got it all done, and it was really good. And and I had an eye opener for me through my devotions the other day.
Okay.
When Jesus reappeared to Peter, and he said, "Peter, do you love me?" "Yes, Lord, I love you." "Peter, do you love me?" "Yes, Lord, I love you." "Peter, do you love me?" "Yes, Lord, I love you." He goes, "Then bear no guilt." And I didn't understand that. And I've read that so many times. He asked, do you know why he asked him that 3 times?
For confirmation?
Because Peter had denied him 3 times. You denied me 3 times before the cock crows.
Yeah.
He asked Peter 3 times, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? As confirmation that regardless of what you did, I still love you. I want you to bear no guilt. I've been reading the Bible since I was 10. And that was just revealed to me. I knew why things were in triplicate in the Bible, but that bear no guilt, I mean, I went back over that thing 4 or 5 times because that's what he tells us all the time. I don't come to condemn.
Yeah.
Bear no guilt. You've asked forgiveness.
I'm not here to tell you, fuck.
Go and sin no more. And it was just like, I don't know, it was just like such a relief to know, hey, bear no guilt. And I'm like, Lord, and I always ask, show me what you want me to learn to get out of this. And it was like I had read that for the first time.
That the first thing it reminds me of a priest told me one time. He said, if you bear your own sins and like you're carrying guilt and sadness, he said, then you're telling Christ that what he sacrificed wasn't enough to cover that too.
I would
Second devotion. I love that new glorified devotion. It is, and it just reaffirmed, and that it's different devotions, but it just reaffirmed, you know, why we keep telling God you didn't do enough. Jesus did it all.
Yeah.
Our little hiccups and our circumstances, like you said, our circumstances don't dictate. We dictate. Regardless of what the circumstances says, we dictate how we're going to respond to it, how we're going to act behind it, what we're going to cause, we're going to let it cause us to do. He said, bear no guilt. I got it all. I took the guilt too. I'm like,
right. That's the thing. He took the guilt too. That's what we think that we have the guilt is a personal thing, but it's not. It's something already taken. Like we're never meant to bear the guilt. That's why it's so damn heavy.
You want to do this thing and you mess up on it. You still want to try? Okay, I got you. Try again. Try again. Failure is not necessarily a no. It's a try again.
Yeah, I mean, it's perpetually the phrase to the paralytic man, rise and walk. You know, he's like, hey man, get up again, get up, rise, walk, go.
Yeah, he didn't say when he asked him, do you want to be healed? Well, there's no one to put me in the pool. That's not what he asked him.
Right. It's not what he asked
him for a statement as to why. He just said, do you want to be healed? Yes, right. Again, do you want to be healed? Yes. Then get up and carry your bed and walk. I got the rest. You just got to say yes.
I think that speaks to a good point that a lot of people go through is that rather than focusing on even the potential solution, they'd rather describe the problem and tell you why that they're losing. I'm losing now, Lord, because of this. He's like, it's not what I asked you. Right. And I think that reaffirms, you know, the power of what we choose to focus on here in the mastermind is choose your ideal no matter what.
Right.
You know, don't describe the mountain, just tell it to move. Don't describe the problem, just tell it to move.
You know, that's what we were going through.
Problem.
Is there going to be enough money? What did I tell you? I shall supply all your needs according to my riches, not what you've saved, not what you've earned, according to my riches for those who trust and love in me. You trust me? Yep. You love me? Why are you worried about your finances?
Right. It'll stop you in your tracks pretty quick. I think we're not into the sense of humor.
Put my business in the street, Lord. I know you got a sense of humor, but, you know, and anytime Mike would say something about it, I said, you don't trust him anymore? Yeah, but there's no but. He didn't get off the cross and say, but. He said, it is finished.
Yeah.
Jesus ain't never said but in his life. What is that?
Do you guys know, I'm trying to think of the Hebrew word for that phrase, it is finished. because he purposely said it in a certain context that in the original language, it's like you would say at the end of a court session, like if somebody's fine or their sentence had been sufficed, like they paid their debt, they served their time. But it's also a financial term, which means like the bill has been paid in full. And it's
Right.
also a property term, which means I fully own this now. So it's like when he said that it is finished in the original language, he was saying, the debt has been paid in full. I've served the sentence for you, and whatever is left over, it belongs to me. And he's like, oh. But we're like, and it's why I love the power of words, and like when we constantly examine our own words, I think the words that you choose are also indicative of the options that you give yourself.
Yeah.
If you're choosing words that don't give you options, you're choosing the wrong words. And, those words will be indicative of what you believe, what you feel are your options at that moment. And that's why it's so important. When I was talking to my Tony Robbins coach, and she asked me, we were talking about questions, asking ourselves better questions. And she said, when your accident happened, a lot of people would ask themselves, why did this happen to me? She said, but what did you ask yourself? And I said, what if I can beat this?
Yeah.
And that singular question opened up the option for more.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
because as parents, we can ask too, okay, God, this isn't a surprise to you. Where do we go from here? And that was all I could count on was, where do we go from here? What do we do? What do we do? And there were so many times where it would have been easy to say, okay, you don't have to go to therapy. You don't have to go. And you even said, well, why? I said, because you don't have a mental illness. That's why you have to keep going to school. You didn't have a mental injury. You had a physical injury. You're like, blah, 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 blah. No. Let them work on the body. You keep working on your brain. And it was an eye-opener for us because so much more came out of it little bit by little bit. And even in the beginning when they said, no, you need to put him in a respite or whatever, you're going to have to be in a home. Even then, not even knowing the how, you said, I got too much to do. No, this isn't the end of my story. And look at you now.
There's that phrase, right? If you find yourself in hell, keep going.
Go through, don't stay.
Yeah. You were saying, Victor?
Oh, I was just gonna say the power of the testimony, and I just wanted to also touch on like what Miss Terry was saying about how Peter denied Christ 3 times and how Christ had to forgive him 3 times in order, for that to take place. And it got me to thinking, like, I have heard that and I have read that, and yes, there is like this consequential like interpreting on how he's been forgiven, right, and how Christ forgives us. But I also wonder, like, if based on that, like, that's just an example of like, hey, there might be more than one time where we deny Christ. So like, just being able to ask ourselves, ask ourselves, like, at what point have we denied him, whether through a miracle or a power or something that was supposed to happen that hasn't happened. Because I do feel like even though Christ like died for us and like he resurrected and he had to go through that, I also believe that, like, based on that, like, some people interpret that like in this instance, like with our challenges and our circumstances, and putting trust and faith in it and getting that to take action into, like what Milad says, like, we are the more embodiment of the story of Christ and God in us, and how that shapes and transforms us. And if we choose to, Spirit can do his work in us and create something new.
Right. Every single time. With that phrase, do you trust me? Do you believe me, man? It was like somebody was playing it with symbols.
Yeah, I love when things like that, they jump out, they really say, hey, pay attention to me. hey, listen to this, and you realize that it resonates without trying to.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that's given me peace over time is and really boldness in my personal choices is that I can't convince you to like something if you don't like it.
Right.
Things that resonate with us, they resonate with us for a reason. And I think they're worth exploring for that reason. That, everybody in my family likes to eat tuna fish and make tuna fish sandwiches and salads and stuff. And I think it smells terrible. And like, I can't stand it. Like, I have to leave the house if they're going to cook it. Like, I have to leave the house. But like, they can say all they want, like, oh, you should try it. It's good. But like, hey, that doesn't resonate with me. I'm revulsed by this thing. And I think, you know, instead of trying to figure out everything, it's just like, okay, well, what matters to me? What do I like, or what am I interested in? Oftentimes I think that's the catalyst to something great down the line. And we
Yeah.
all seen how the smallest things have become the biggest things. Like, we've all seen a giant oak tree, and it started with some tiny little seed. And we've all seen us start off as a tiny little atom molecule. Thank you, science, for showing us the building blocks of how small things can really be, to the people that we are now. And, it's just the reminder of the awesomeness of life itself that we have access to when we choose. And, along these same lines that we're talking from Florence Chin's book, the Game of Life, How to Play It, that we studied, she mentioned the prodigal son a couple of times. And it's just a reminder that we always have the choice to go back home. We always have the choice to go to the Father. We always have the choice to go to the kingdom. We always have the choice for abundance. Like, oh yeah, duh, my birthright, duh, the place I came from, duh, like that reminder of duh sometimes. And I think we all need those duh moments in order to really grasp hold of the stuff that's meant for us.
Right. Because we don't always get it the first time. And he asked Peter 3 times. Peter didn't get it. But
Yeah.
the third time, it rang true. And I think that's the same thing with us as believers. We might not always get it the first time, but everybody's heard the phrase, God is a God of second chances, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. He's always there.
Yeah, I love that you said that. It reminded me of a conversation I was having, running errands within my own head, and just that of just like the availability of it. Like the literal availability of choice, the availability of spirit, the availability of connection, the availability of that our mind and our spirit give us, the availability to glory all the time, and to not even waste the hard times. That like, oh, it's hard. Okay, well, what am I going to focus on now? There's always an option of where you're going to place your focus. And I'm so thankful for the time that we live in, because like we get to enjoy those types of stories and testimonials from so many more people that, we may never meet or may have already passed on. Like, I'm learning from people from like the early 1900s, like, whoa, good idea, you guys. And it's thank God for the internet. It gives us access to so much more glory so that we can be more glorious. And I think, for me, I'm going for big. Like, I'm going for 5 million people to help. I'm going for, castles and cool stuff and influence, and I'm going all in. And I say those things with utter confidence, because I'm betting on me. I'm not betting on the circumstance. And like they talk about virtues a lot in scripture, and even just like a lot of ancient writings and teachings about life is, the virtues. And one of the definitions of virtue is a good or useful quality of a thing. But I wanted to ask if you guys are describing each other, what good and useful qualities would you give the other person?
Ooh.
Like if you were describing Victor, what are some good and useful qualities that you use? What are his virtues as you see them?
How much time do we have?
You can only list 5.
Only 5. Okay, I'm trying to get on my computer too, so you'll let me. Let's see. I'm going to turn my desktop out. Okay. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, 5 qualities. I would say dependable.
Okay.
I would say resourceful. I like the fact that he's a note taker. I like the fact that he's a note taker. I learned more about taking notes, watching and seeing Victor take notes and seeing him flip back to stuff in the beginning. So, dependable. Did I say dependable? Reliable. Focused. And also
That's 4 and one more.
a servant's heart.
Yeah, that's a good quality.
I see a servant's heart just with things that he's talked about, church or neighbors or the job sites that he's on. It's like, I can do this. I want to do this. How can I do this better?
Yeah. Hi, Veronica. We're describing using the word virtue, which is the good or valuable qualities of a thing, and describing each other. So it's like you just mentioned some of Victor's virtues as she sees it. But if you were describing Terry, what are some of the qualities that you would say are her virtues?
You're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So Victor, you can either choose me or Veronica to list what are the virtues that you assign to us, a good or useful quality.
Yeah, I would choose you, brother, and I think the quality of listening and observing, the ability to help and being able to pour out to others, as you want pour out onto you, and also how you carry your life, man. Like just such a testimony, man. That it just like no matter the situations, it's like you're always on fire, man, and you're always speaking from the bottom of your heart, and you're allowing God to use you and flow, and the ability to listen and willing to share and get out of the way so that God can flow through you.
Man, I appreciate that.
I know it was more than 5, man, but yeah.
Veronica, what 5 virtues would you assign to Terry? A good or useful quality?
I think that she is loving. She has so much love to give to others around her, her family, her friends. She is very knowledgeable. She has wisdom that she shares with us. She's very motherly, just naturally motherly. She oozes motherly. Kindness, just kindness and generosity, just a servant's heart, and just joy and laughter. And she just has this, just brings she just brings joy to others. And yeah, and just I think creativity, like her book, she's just like just very just motherly. You just want to go and just say, hey, how are you? You just want to talk to to Terry. She's so welcoming, very, very welcoming and inviting to everybody. And she just loves big time, big time. She has so much love inside her. And it just, that also like just comes out of her. It's just love.
I want to be hearing that love when I walk. I just gave a lot of that out because I just got back from our first YMCA dinner and it was great. It was great. Tiring, but great. And then when I said, you guys are wearing grandma out, and everybody's like, slow down. You have to hold the parachute up higher. She walks slower.
And she's a friend too. And a friend.
I was cracking up. I was like, yes, Ahmad, I do. Thank you very much for telling them to hold it up slower. Hold it up faster because I walk slower. But it was so cool. You mentioned a book, and I'll share this, and then Milan can do you. When we were in New Buffalo for my birthday, we were driving around looking at houses and stuff, and we passed a book box, and I was like, wait, go back. I should put a book in there. Michael goes, do you have books? I said, I keep them in the car. Well, I signed it. I had already signed it, and I put it in a book box in New Buffalo. So I'm just like, okay, Lord, show me what you want me to show them. Whoever needs this, let them get it, and we'll go from there. But I thought that was so cool.
Yeah. Well, before you guys got on, I was mentioning to Victor, no matter what situation that you're in, there's a list of get tos there. You know, I get to release this thing from my life. I get to enjoy this time with my family. I get to, gas up my car because I have a job. I get to, like there's always a list of get tos.
Yeah.
And for me, like keeping it that simple of like, where's the get to here? Like, I know this part sucks and this part sucks. And that part behind me sucks, but where's the get to? And being able to find those get tos, it's been amazing how much mental RAM that's given me back, and peace about the situation. Like, okay, I'm on the floor right now, and nobody's home. Well, what's up, Jesus? Like, what you doing? There's the get to, like the access of our Lord in that time. Like, all right, well, what's the choice here? I could wallow and be angry. I'm like, all right, I'm going to wallow and be angry and be on the ground. I don't like that combo. All right, what else? I could crawl out here and yank the blanket off the bed and fall asleep. All right, cool. Now I have a mission. And it's like, being able to find the get to in life is for me, that's been like one of the simplest and most powerful things that I get to keep doing.
Makes a big difference in everything, I think, for everybody. Because I got to share my book, and I was like, oh,
right.
a book box. That wasn't on my mind. But he said, I'm going to put a book box right here. I need you to I've never been in this city before, in the neighborhood driving around. It was to a restaurant and then back home. But Michael said, you got books? We were just like, kids, on a scavenger hunt, but let's hide this. And it was cool. And there was houses or across the street. So I'm like, I hope somebody was looking out the window going, what she put in there?
Cool. All right, Veronica, 5 virtues that I would assign to you, good and useful qualities. First is that came to mind was resilient. And resilient, not just because of you choose to keep going when life throws curves, but I think resiliency speaks more to the willingness of the person. Like, I'm choosing to be resilient. I could stop here, but I'm just going to use this as a time, and then I'm going to keep going. And reflective, I would say, is both useful and a good quality for you of noticing things that other people don't notice. And I think you see so much, and because of what you see and you notice, there's more oohs and ahs in your life. And infectious is the other word. Like, when you're happy, I can't not smile. Like, when you smile, I'm like, real, that's cool. And like, hearing you love your life is like, it's magical. And I think that's 4. I'm going to say 4 is magical. And the 5th one is appreciative. Like I think much of us, many of us, have a lot of really great things going at any given time, but like we don't necessarily acknowledge it. And like you have the great quality of acknowledging it, like, yeah, pointing that out. I like it. I like that too. And I like that too. And like, I appreciate you and you're appreciated and thank you. Like you're unafraid of appreciation. And so many people are afraid for some reason to appreciate. But I think it's given you so much more life. And that's infectious for us to get that too.
I'm going to throw grateful in there because her grateful, infectious appreciation, when she talked about her family going on that trip and somebody had made sandwiches for her, and she goes, "Oh, you made me a sandwich and you eat this?" Or when her mom got blueberry muffins, I felt like I was there. Infectious is like perfect.
Yeah.
The way she describes stuff, and she's like there, and it's like, yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it. I concur.
Thank you. Thank you for those kind words. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, which for me, that was like that. Yeah. Wow. Thank you. I felt like I was on that train. I'm like, where we going? I don't know where we going, but I need to get on this train right now. Right now. And thank you for telling me I can get pumpkin muffins from Trader Joe's, because you know I have, or pumpkin pancakes. I was like, are those pumpkin pancakes he's fixing?
Thank you.
No, I just want to say thank you to the space to be able to create this and the opportunity. And thank you, Miss Terry, too. And I was driving. I wasn't able to like really pay close attention, but I was asking if you could type those in the chat so that I can like, read them, because I feel like it's interesting, because without us telling us the those qualities, like to me it was like, oh wow, like it I don't know, like it's very cool to see that like people do realize and how like those traits show up, you know, without really pushing it, but just from that posture of our higher selves, you know. This is who we are, and like this is like how we operate. And I just, to me right now, it's just like a very powerful thing to be able to experience it and witness it, and like just see how assertive everything that we share with each one is, like very uplifting and encouragement. I think I needed to hear that too.
And thank you too. Today I was disappointed. I got some disappointing news, but it made me sad and I cried, and I was like, you know, just get up and go. So thank you for acknowledging the resilience. So yeah, I was just going through like a sad period and just reflecting and just but I'm like, nope, get up and go, you know, just so. But thank you for saying that.
Awesome. Yeah, I was noticing too in my day, and I think all of us from time to time we get in those moments where we can work ourselves out of the little pit that we're in. You know, we can work ourselves out, like, okay, this matters. I'm going to focus on and do that. Okay. I'm going to focus on and do that. Okay. And, you know, I think it helps to, you know, keep ourselves going. You can just, like they say, it's just one foot in front of the other. Like you're not running a marathon. It's just one foot in front of the other. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Just one foot in front of the other. You're almost there. One foot in front of the other. And it reminded me of this old football movie that I saw. And one of the guys was smarting off to the coach, and he's like, "Oh, I'm too strong. I'm stronger than everybody. I'm this and that, you know." And he said, "All right, you know, how far do you think you can bear crawl?" And he said, "I can make it to the 50-yard line, no problem." He's like, "Okay." Puts another guy on his back and then blindfolds him and says, "All right, go." And like he's crawling and crawling. He's like, "Oh, I can do this. And like 30 yards in, and he's just like, you know, starts freaking out. And he's like, "You're almost there. And coach is telling him, "You're almost there. Like, you know, like pain is nothing, you know, it's temporary." And he's crawling. He's like, "I can't do it anymore." He's like, "I gotta be at the 50. I gotta be at the 50. And his arms give out. He pulls the blindfold off, gets in the end zone.
No.
He crawled the whole way of it. And I think the reminder that like when it's the darkest and you can't see, you know, it seems like I can't see my way out of this thing. person that's in your ear is the person that matters the most. Like, what is the story that I'm listening to? What's the story that I'm focused on? Can that goodness drown out my own fear? Because like sometimes we need that. And, the reminder that like, yeah, God sets those people up for us. Sometimes you got to look up and be like, all right, where are you? Where are you? I need you, thank God for YouTube, because I've YouTubed himself in the middle of the day plenty of times. Like I need some encouragement. And it's like, the internet for me has reminded me of the access that we have to goodness. Because sometimes it's not like I can't get a hold of the person that I want, or I can't do the thing that I want. But like the internet gives us access to like, remind us of those things and those words and those powerful traits that we all, exist with when when we choose.
Man, I love it, man. I really felt that, and it's so amazing to me in general to be able to speak, because like one of the things this share that I wanted to share if we have time is on Monday. Do we have time? Can I share this real quick?
Yeah.
Like one of the things that this week I've been dealing with is just the ability to surpass some situations in my life and figure out and trust and have faith. And Monday on our call, Miss Terry, just hearing, I had different situations, but one of the situations was hearing your testimony, how you and your husband decided to keep on and to keep pushing through, no matter what family said to you guys, and the odds of all the situations, you guys believe in each other, and that no matter what, you guys were just gonna push through no matter. And just being able to speak to my cousin and just meet him and share some stuff, and him sharing, and it just left me that Monday with the sour, or not a sour, but a taste in my mouth of there's so much more that I could operate from. How cool the idea to love my spouse, and to grow old and to be able to experience the same love and joy. And to me, that was very powerful to be able to hear, and your testimony. It encouraged me, it uplifted me. And then throughout my week, just being able to recognize man, no matter what happens in our lives, it's how we choose to go about it. And another thing, just unfolds another thing. And it's just, to me, the realization of the peace that gives us when we're on the other side, like Milan says, but also to know that God never leaves us, and that he's always there with us within reach. And that just gave me a lot of hope too, because it's man, if I just cry to the Father instead of crying to the internet, or looking at things that, just how it goes so deep into who we are and our characteristics of a human. Because I think at the end of the day, I believe we're all human, and we share that same characteristic of love with the Father, with the Creator. And just to be able to walk with that, and to say no, there is more to this. I believe in this, even if nobody else believes it or questions it. And that just, it to me just gives me more to choose from, and to operate from, and to see and believe that anything is possible. So I just wanted to share that.
And always know he's got your right hand, whether you feel it or not. He's got your right hand. He always has your back. Sometimes it takes us a little bit longer to feel it. And man, you talking to your cousin. I know family can drain you like a pool with a hole in it. But God is the best stopper in the world. He's always there. I mean, that water can be flowing out so fast, and you think you're going to get sucked in, and he go, now. And then the current just slows down, and you're able to stand and get your composure and go about it again. Okay, try it this way. We'll go that way. But yeah, call me. You don't have to wait till Monday or Wednesday. Text me. Call me. Because I know those difficult times can be there, but we just kept telling each other we'll get through it, and you'll get through it, and family will get through it. I've been on all ends of the spectrum, and it's that peace that passes all understanding. You don't have to understand it. We don't have to understand it. He does.
Right. And that's what I was telling Milan, like just the ability to just be able to remove the understanding from it and then just operate from a place of moving ourselves and letting him allow his miracle or love or joy and or the expression of his embodiment in that moment, and just removing myself from the I have to figure it out, or just removing that posture of self and just operating from the self of like,
Yeah. Veronica.
That's like today, when I was disappointed and I cried and I was like, I'm like, God has other plans for me and it's all good. It's okay. And then, when I got emotional, I was like, just God, just give me strength. But I feel like I feel like he's there for all of us all the time. And it's just great comfort in that. Just,
You did what he wanted you to do. You poured it out to him because he knows sometimes it's going to happen. And just like, go ahead, baby. I got you.
And I just feel like I feel so blessed that God has blessed me. Like, I just have like around me, like just amazing people, like everywhere, just wonderful, wonderful people. It's like a plethora of like amazing
Bringing
people.
out the big words. Bringing out the big words. That's plethora with the P. If I'm writing it down, Victor.
I didn't even know what a plethora was until someone said it, and I was like, "What is that?" But no, I just thank God. I'm like, thank you for all the blessing, all the just wonderful, wonderful people. I'm just so grateful, like just so grateful. I'm so grateful for all of you. Thank you. Thank you.
By the way, my husband's looking at coming to Zion National Park, so we might be in Arizona early spring next year. I just throw that out there.
Sweet. Very nice.
Well,
Yes, I feel very blessed with people.
You'll be able to pick up Veronica's book at the gift shop.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have that book before then, honey. As soon as that bad boy's in print.
Yeah, I know it's almost ready. I ordered the proof for Veronica and I, and so we can have that tangible and really see where the tweaks need to be made. And it's when it arrived, like I was excited. Like
Thank you. Thank you.
It was like
Yeah.
when does it go live?
It'll be live soon. We're doing final edits right now.
Nice.
But I got the proof copy, but like just the real book. These are real pictures and these real words and
Go.
that we created on the internet and that spawned from just from idea to actual tangible thing is that reminder that that's what we do all the time, right? We take the unseen and we make it seen. We do what we see the Father do. It's like we're like, all right, I have this idea. I'm gonna put some belief and some effort behind it, and then boom, there's a new thing. Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna do this. And constantly leaving these breadcrumbs of awesomeness for other people to follow.
And I know where 4 new book boxes are. Yay!
And I'm a firm believer that it's like if you've been inspired, which we all have been, we have the responsibility to inspire others. And I think other people, countless strangers, are inspired by our lives and the things that we leave behind, and the things that we're doing now. And that's something that my mentor helped me with is that I'm not valuable when I do X, Y, and Z in the future, that I'm operating from a place of value today. And that every now that I'm in is a now where I am valuable. And, the reminder for all of us, like the virtues that we listed, the ones that we describe for the other person are really are the ones that we're describing ourselves.
Yep.
And like, we can't resonate with things without, it meaning something to us. It's like, the things that you admire in other people are your characteristics shown to you through that person. And that was one of the big lessons that I learned from Bob before he passed, was that, anything that you admire in other people are reflections of you. So operate with those things that you see in other people. And that he's like, that changed his whole outlook of life. He's like, now I can't see myself I just recognized me, like awesomeness, like, oh yeah, like rich and successful and powerful and forgiving and this and that. Is like, nice, I'm great. God's everywhere. Like, like, but I never run out of energy because it's everywhere. And, he was able to do so much all the way up until, 82 when he passed. And except for two things he said, I don't know how to fix an engine, and I don't know how to bake a pie, and I know I'm not going to learn. He's like, nah, I'm not going to learn. Those two things, no, I'll pay somebody gladly.
Gladly.
That was a quick hour.
Is it? Oh, gosh.
Yeah. There are 5 minutes left of the that chapter of Power of Now that I do have queued up, though. And we have 7 minutes left, so I'm going to share screen.
Light of being will shine through it. This is both the purpose and the fulfillment of your inner journey, the journey into yourself.
Does it matter whether we achieve our outer purpose, whether we succeed or fail in the world?
It will matter to you as long as you haven't realized your inner purpose. After that, the outer purpose is just a game that you may continue to play simply because you enjoy it. It is also possible to fail completely in your outer purpose and at the same time totally succeed in your inner purpose. Or the other way around, which is actually more common. Outer riches and inner poverty, or to gain the world and lose your soul, as Jesus puts it. Ultimately, of course, every outer purpose is doomed to fail sooner or later, simply because it is subject to the law of impermanence of all things. The sooner you realize that your outer purpose cannot give you lasting fulfillment, the better. When you have seen the limitations of your outer purpose, you give up your unrealistic expectation that it should make you happy, and you make it subservient to your inner purpose.
You mentioned that thinking or talking about the past unnecessarily is one of the ways in which we avoid the present. But apart from the past that we remember and perhaps identify with, isn't there another level of past within us that is much more deep-seated? I'm talking about the unconscious past that conditions our lives, especially through early childhood experiences, perhaps even past life experiences. And then there is our cultural conditioning, which has to do with where we live geographically and the historic time period in which we live. All these things determine how we see the world, how we react, what we think, what kind of relationships we have, how we live our lives. How do we ever become conscious of all that or get rid of it? How long would that take? And even if we did, what would there be left?
What is left when illusion ends? There is no need to investigate the unconscious past in you except as it manifests at this moment as a thought, an emotion, a desire, a reaction, or an external event that happens to you. Whatever you need to know about the unconscious past in you, the challenges of the present will bring it out. If you delve into the past, it will become a bottomless pit. There's always more. You may think that you need more time to understand the past or become free of it. In other words, that the future will eventually free you of the past. This is a delusion. Only the present can free you of the past. More time cannot free you of time. Access the power of now. That is the key.
What is the power of now?
None other than the power of your presence, your consciousness liberated from thought forms. So, deal with the past on the level of the present. The more attention you give to the past, the more you energize it, and the more likely you are to make a self out of it. Don't misunderstand. Attention is essential, but not to the past as past. Give attention to the present. Give attention to your behavior, to your reactions, moods, thoughts, emotions, fears, and desires as they occur in the present. There's the past in you. If you can be present enough to watch all those things, not critically or analytically, but non-judgmentally, then you are dealing with the past and dissolving it through the power of your presence. You cannot find yourself by going into the past. You find yourself by coming into the present.
Isn't it helpful to understand the past and so understand why we do certain things, react in certain ways, or why we unconsciously create our particular kind of drama, patterns in relationships, and so on?
As you become more conscious of your present reality, you may suddenly get certain insights as to why your conditioning functions in those particular ways. For example, why your relationships follow certain patterns, and you may remember things that happened in the past or see them more clearly. That is fine and can be helpful, but it is not essential. What is essential is your conscious presence. That dissolves the past. That is the transformative agent. So don't seek to understand the past, but be as present as you can. The past cannot survive in your presence. It can only survive in your absence.
I love that last little bit. Him saying that, if you want to understand the past, you have to be paying attention to now, because now is where you're going to get the clarity. And, the more that I've learned about myself, the past makes so much more sense anyway. But it's only because I was paying attention to the now. And something that Steve Jobs said is, we don't connect the dots looking forward, we connect the dots looking back. But it's only with the current knowledge that you have can you look back and like, oh, well, that makes sense. But you have to go far enough to get away from the past, and be present that you have that new information.
Yeah, I like the fact that he said too that if it comes unconscious, if it comes up in a thought or a memory, that at the time it's useful. If it comes up, it's something you can deal with and move on or learn from. But it's when you start delving in it, like he said, it's never ending. You go down a rabbit hole.
Right, because how far are you going to go back?
Right.
You're gonna try to examine every single day. It's like, you're going to miss so many more nows looking back at the past.
Right. That's going to take up your time. And he says it's
all right.
It's now. Oh, I love that.
Because there's always going to be like new instances. Like I didn't know I was going to meet my wife that day, but it's, paying attention and doing things on purpose and being in that place rather than spending my time on like what wasn't working in my life, put me in a position to discover something that made so much more sense anyway. I'm like, I don't even care about that anymore. Like, she's awesome. Duh. Like, I'm definitely in the now. Like, did you see that girl walking in slow motion? Damn. I'm like, it's like I realized too, like you can't fulfill scripture if you're stuck looking back.
No.
And we fulfill scripture when we move forward and when we gain these understandings and we allow what was to be replaced by what is. Like you said, beauty for ashes. Again, be focused on the ashes the whole damn time and expect beauty. And it's like, the joy comes in the morning. It's like, all right, well, in the morning, am I going to keep the lights off, or am I going to open up the shades? And it's like, no, I'm going to open up the shades. And, the progress is the thing. And I think that's the most natural thing anyway, that in nature or within our bodies, stagnation is the enemy that kills.
Do you want a pond that's got the green stuff on the top of it, or a clear one that's got little and swans in it? Like Jesus said, he said, go ye therefore. And he didn't say, stay right here, do nothing, let everything that he's saying. He said, go.
Right. Because I'd rather drink from a waterfall than like some dirty pond in the backyard. And even within us, okay, stop breathing and see what happens. Like we need fluidity. Fluidity is a part of natural life. And when we refuse to be fluid, then we start to lose. And the Chinese have a philosophy called Wei, which is the art of non-resistance. And it's basically like being like water. It's like if you pour water into a cup, it just forms into a cup. If you pour into a kettle, it forms into a kettle. You know, if you pour into the ocean, it just flows back and forth. And it's like it's not concerned with where it is because it knows who it is. And it understands its own function. And I think our function is more complicated than that. But it's still the progress of it all.
Yeah.
You know, like how did we get the Grand Canyon? A little bit at a time of water going through. You know, and how do we get on to the next thing and create the next thing? It's like a little bit, you know, at a time. And thank God for these day-tight compartments, because if somebody said, "Oh yeah, you got to do this by 40," I'm like, I'm not doing all that shit. That's way too much. Like, but like I didn't live 40 years at a time. I lived a day at a time.
Right.
You know, that reminder that we're not living an entire lifetime. We're living a day. And then the next time we wake up, we're going to live a day. And for me, that's been a game changer. That's why it's day one for my private coaching, and, you know, focusing on like treating today like it matters. Because if you treat today like it matters, over and over, your whole life will matter.
Yeah.
And then when you have these understandings and you look back and you're like, oh, you know, it sucked, but I learned this because I paid attention and I kept going. And, you know, then everybody's benefiting from your story.
Yeah. When you mentioned the Grand Canyon, all I could remember was when the Flintstones went to the Grand Canyon, and Fred said, "Yep, I guess it just takes time."
Yeah, because it wasn't there yet, right?
It was just a little creek, like, you know, water going down your driveway when you put the water hose